changing the life trajectory of a group of people. Oh, and it's important in Colorado because I think Colorado is one of the lowest graduation rates in the country. I think I learned that in induction last year.
I talked about like the changing trajectory, which is just plagiarizing Malachi. But he had another good word about it. That was not just making students able to do work, but actually changing their mindsets as well. So just because students can't do it doesn't mean they'll want to do it.
The way we talked about it in the master's, I don't know if you're told that in master's courses, is that it's when you empower the students in their community to create systemic change, so you put them in situations where they are able to do that.
Did anyone define it outside of just education?
I mean, it was just Robert and someone else, as I said, change that creates new ways of thinking and corresponding actions.
So this little clip at the bottom is pulled from the TFA National website. We seek to expand educational opportunity in ways that are life-changing for children and transforming for our country. Given our deep belief in children and communities, the magnitude of educational inequity and its consequences, and our optimism about the solvability of the problem, we act with high standards, urgency, and a long-term view. So that's just kind of TFA's view on it, although I think your own personal definitions are equally important and to facilitate discussion.
Do you guys have any questions just on this term? Yeah.
Sorry, I was whispering because I've never heard this before. So from my understanding of listening to you all is that it's not just change, so in a classroom setting it's not just getting Susie to do her homework and get that A at the end of the year, it's how does she change so that she thinks differently of years to come, she can take it to her community like you were saying. So it's just on a different level, more of embedded in.
Right, it's how will her subsequent decisions be altered by the experience she had in your classroom.
And to a certain extent, I think of it as how we scale it outside of just your own classroom to like hit larger communities than just a small classroom.
And like to think about why is it important in Colorado, I think about the city of Denver, right? You've got a minority-majority city, and more than 50% of Hispanic students currently don't graduate from high school. So I think, like, what does that hold 20 years down the road? I think of this city in 20 years without transformational change. I think of my students, you know, they'll be adults in 10 years, they'll be my age, and if these things don't change, then, you know, what does that mean for this city? So I guess that's sort of how I think of it, as this entire, like, we need to put these entire communities, this entire city on a different educational path, so that in 10 or 15 years, you know, we don't have a serious problem on our hands.
Is there something? I know we were discussing the heads of values. Does TFA define it?
This is how TFA defines it, and it's taken from, this is from the core values, so that's their broad definition of transformational change.
Okay.
Yeah, and that can all be found on like TFA website if you look up core values. The new core values are out on there if anyone wants to look at those more. So, okay. So how we're laying out these slides is we're going to talk a little bit about the essential questions and then what experience our core members are going to have to target that essential question. So Meg, can you go to the next one? Okay, so Thursday is going to be really unique. We're doing a community experience, and I'm actually going to let Julene talk a little bit more about this. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, because Julene has been creating this community experience.
So this is like in a dreamy world, and so I'm still working to actually pull it together. So again, we didn't want to just like be like, hey, core members, sit in a room, like listen to Sean Vanderstadt as he talks about this PowerPoint. Like, so we wanted our core members to actually be like, oh, this is like a community where I might work. So we have buses, and we are taking them to 5 different communities, one being Colorado Springs, which I'm particularly excited about. I think you guys know that there have kind of been like discrepancies previously around like, oh, I want to be in Denver, or I got placed in Colorado Springs, like some challenges there. So we're definitely trying to make sure that we represent all of our communities, even though it just takes a little bit more time. So all of our core members will be assigned to groups, and basically, along with you guys and staff, everybody's just going to be experiencing this together. We're basically going to bus them to a specific destination in one of these places, and we're going to drop them off with just a few simple assignments. And we don't even want to be too specific because we just want them to like be thinking, be seeing, be hearing, be learning. But there will be a few suggestions as you should visit a grocery store, you should visit a community place establishment such as a church or a park or a school, and at some point throughout the day talk with a community member, whether that be an adult, a child, whomever. And so they'll kind of be wandering around in small groups on foot, and then the second part of that event will be like actually meeting with a community member from Montbello and kind of talking face-to-face about what are the realities, what are the strengths, what are the challenges within that community. So there are difficult things about this. The majority of our 2011 core members do not yet have jobs. So they don't know if they're going to be teaching in Montbello or Colorado Springs. So this isn't like super defined, like we want you to go and learn specifically about this community. We just want them thinking and experiencing our communities. And the ICs, the induction coordinators brought up a really important part that this can be tricky. Like what if somebody walks into our community and is like, this place, there's graffiti, there's trash, like this place is dirty, this place is horrible. Like the preconceived, or the idea is that people can